Hello there! In today's video I will be showing you my endgame barbarian build. If you are looking for a barbarian build that can handle all manner of endgame content with ease, with both massive DPS and survivability, look no further. I have cleared content many levels higher than my own level with this build, and I'm excited to share it with you today. Without further ado, let's get right into it. First, let's look at our skill tree. We begin with Lunging Strike. As we need to spend 2 skill points to move on to the next branch of skills, this is where we will put them. Next is the meat and potatoes of this build, Whirlwind. Go ahead and spend 5 skill points here, and then grab its upgrades, choosing Furious Whirlwind as the skill morph. We then slot 5 skill points in both Rallying Cry and Challenging Shout. Go ahead and morph both of these, with the tactical prefix. Allocate 1 skill point into Iron Skin, and morph it into Strategic Iron Skin. If Fury Sustain is an issue for you, you may want to instead replace Iron Skin with a morphed Combat Lunging Strike, which will act as a Fury generator. I'll leave this decision to you, as it will depend on your gear and aspects, which I'll get into later. We will be putting 5 points into Warcry also, as well as morphing it into Power of Warcry. This will further increase our damage. We then want to grab 3 ranks of the Booming Voice passive, as well as 3 points in Guttural Yell, and a single point into Raid Leader. The next branch will only be passives. We will not be slotting any skills here. We put 3 points into Pit Fighter, and a single point into the Hamstring passive. You may not know this, but slowed counts as crowd control, which in turn increases our damage down the line. For our ultimate slot, we will be choosing Wrath of the Berserker, which increases our Fury generation, move speed, damage, and general uptime. Go ahead and morph it into the Supreme Wrath of the Berserker, and then grab a single point in the Tempered Fury passive. Then, we want 3 ranks in Invigorating Fury. We will also want 3 ranks in the Heavy Handed passive. To finish the build, we will choose Unbridled Rage in our final branch. Next on the list is Gear and Aspects. First is the helmet, which has the Grasping Whirlwind aspect. This drags enemies in towards us while whirlwinding, and we also have some cooldown reduction there as well. I've chosen to stack defense on my chest piece with the Disobedience aspect, boosted with a bunch of damage reduction and plus damage. I'll likely change this out in future for something a little more offensive. Devastating Grips is a must-have for this build, as it does a huge amount of damage when we are surrounded. Affixes are all set here, so we just want the highest rolls possible for these. The higher the damage on that Whirlwind proc, the better. Pants are a bit of a flexi spot, and I will be changing these once I can. The Unique Pants Temerity would usually go here if I had them. Instead, I've gone with Numbing Wrath for now for the Fortify bonus. Like I said, I will be changing these out as soon as possible. We then want move speed increase on our boots and the Ghost Walker aspect. We are unstoppable a lot thanks to our Berserker, so this is a near permanent move speed increase, which will help. Amulet will have the Edge Master aspect, and ideally we want plus in all defensive skills, cooldown reduction, and perhaps Fury cost reduction, though this is least important. Rings are also super important for this build. We want a high roll in the Echoing Fury aspect, as well as crit chance, maybe some vulnerable damage, and crit damage if we can. We really want the Bold Chieftain's aspect on our second ring, alongside more crit chance and damage multipliers. Bold Chieftain seems to be a bit of a rare drop. I actually hadn't seen it till I was like level 70. Our two-handed slashing weapon will have the Limitless Rage aspect, as well as a high raw damage per second number. Ideally you'd want crit damage and sockets. We will be putting emeralds in all of our weapon sockets. Berserk Ripping goes on one of our one-handed, which increases our damage. Raw damage doesn't matter so much on one-handed weapons, these end up just being stat sticks. Our second one-handed weapon currently doesn't have an aspect on, but eventually I'll chuck a conceded aspect for increased damage while using a barrier. Both Iron Skin and Temerity provide barriers. And finally, on our two-handed bludgeoning, we will put the Dire Whirlwind aspect. This will greatly increase our critical hit chance while whirlwinding, and we will also stack crit damage and damage multipliers here. I'll now give you a quick little overview of what my stats look like and what to aim for. But ideally you want that crit chance above 25%, you want your crit damage above 300%, and your other applicable damage multipliers such as bleeding, vulnerable, etc. as high as possible. For defensive, you want a high armor, as well as damage reduction from many different sources. This will all help you survive and clear harder content. Move speed, fury on kill, and fury cost reduction should all be something to focus on, depending on what your current setup is lacking. In my opinion, the faster you move, the faster you clear, so I always prioritize move speed. Now we're up to Paragon levels, and this is where our build really starts to come together. First off, we want to take the right hand path on the starting board, making a beeline for the first glyph socket, where we will slot the glyph exploit. With this glyph, enemies will be made instantly vulnerable at the start of battle, and we will deal more damage to vulnerable enemies. Quickly grab the armor upgrade on the right, then path left towards the next board. We will be slotting Blood Rage as our second board, and rotating it as shown on screen. Path upwards towards the glyph socket, slotting Martial, and grabbing any strength nodes within range. Once you have activated the bonus, branch upwards to grab the legendary node, Blood Rage, which helps us with Berserker uptime. Continue pathing towards left to unlock our third board, where we will place Decimator. Rotate as shown and head straight for the nearby glyph socket, where we will place Disembowel. Aside for that, there isn't really a lot to do on this board, so path up to our next board, where we will place Warbringer. Once you are here, you want to rotate the board again so it matches what is on screen. Path towards the glyph socket, slotting Wrath this time. Continue upwards and branch off to the right to grab the nearby legendary node, and then we will finally continue onto our fifth board. Slot the board Flawless Technique, and again, rotate as shown on screen. Pass through the critical damage cluster and onto the glyph slot, where we will put Undaunted. At this point you should have some glyphs to level 15. For the radius increase, go back and slot the applicable stats to increase the bonus received from each glyph. If you have followed my instructions up to this point, you should have a pretty amazing character to explore Sanctuary with. Thank you for watching! Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video or learned something. I'll finish this tutorial with a speedrun of a dungeon way above my level to demonstrate the build's power.
Low on fury. Ready yet.
You're safe.
I must wait.